It's Talk Point again on Lagos Television, and we're glad that you can also link with us with up on this issue. Today on Talk Point, we'll be looking at governance in Nigeria. Over some time, we've been looking at administration governance, and we're still continuing on that part today. But today, we'll be specific in the area of policies of the government. Have they been having positive impact or lull impact or negative impact on the citizenry? I have Oluyomi Akinshola who will be joining me to discuss that. Oluyomi is a public affairs analyst and also an entrepreneur. Yomi, nice to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, it's
yes.
Yeah, again, it's the second time here.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Okay, let's start off. When you want to assess the government policies or policies of government, let me put it that way, what is your own take on it over the years, maybe from 1980 up till now? How's been the policy of government, the impact on the citizenry?
Thank you very much. Well, you can make some policies have positively affected the generality of the lives of Nigerians. Some others have affected Nigerians negatively. However, you have to always have a holistic approach, look to all of these policies, because there's some policies that you will take and then eventually on the long run, it might not be good enough. For instance, we know for a fact that about 40 years ago, Nigeria's population was not as much as this. So basically, you have to start bringing up policies in anticipation of what is going to happen to our population explosion within 30 years, 40, 50 years. Because an infrastructure that you put up at a time that is supposed to service maybe 1 million people, within the next 5 years, what's your plan for that infrastructure vis-a-vis a viral population like Nigeria, whereby we give birth a lot, and then I don't see it as either here nor there. I'm not either pro or against it. But my point is that if you are going to have a policy, that infrastructure that you have put in place, you also have to plan ahead, that by the time that you have your population has increased from 1 million to about 3-4 million, what are the alternatives so that that infrastructure will not totally break down before you now start having some things put up in place? I feel that government policies should have that holistic perspective, whereby you are putting everything in cognizance. For instance, China in 1986 had a one-child policy, and what was the reason? The reason was because they saw that the population of the Chinese people was exploding. But that policy also gave birth to cultural Chinese that believe that they believe so much in the male child. So they now got to an extent whereby in a village, the ratio was 40 males to about 3 females, which was not good for them. So some of them will go check the gender of the child, and if it's a female, they abort. If it's a male, they keep. So it was some years after the effect of that policy that was embarked on in 1986 came out and saw that, it's so lopsided, so many males against the female. Why? And you understood the idea behind that policy, just to curtail their population. They are still the highest in the world as of today. I think India is so close to them.
Yeah.
So, but having said that, you can see that policy, albeit ab initio it looks good, but it did not cover the cultural intellect or the cultural perspective of the Chinese people, who believe so much in the male child. So that is exactly I'm going to talk about Nigeria, that whatever policies that we have had over the years, Nigeria, we might want to go capitalist, and Nigerians were already enough to go all capitalist. What about the moral aspect of it? Some people don't care. They talk about profits, and they don't care. They could profiteer over everything. So you talk about policies that will not further impoverish Nigerians. So that's where I talk about the holistic perspective to policies. But in general, it will look as if, as Nigeria progressed, just in the news, some days, I think yesterday, there was a man that borrowed from Nigeria loan for school fees, and his loan was about 1,200. By the time we made the calculation to pay back the NEL fund 2 days ago, it was about 3 million. So are you saying, because I was thinking that during the analysis, that are you saying that Nigeria's naira had depreciated to the extent that in 1976 or 77, 1,200 in today's value is about 3 million? So of course, all of these things are subject to policies. Although we know external factors are there, the extraneous factors they are there.
Since you mentioned this, I think I should also ask you.
Okay.
Those period in the 80s,
Okay.
the Nigerian economy
Okay.
was still better
Okay.
than what we had what we had in 1990.
Yes.
Now up till this moment now.
Very
Now at that period, I think it was just 2 naira to a dollar.
Dollar, yes.
Yeah. So if somebody had borrowed 1,200 at that period,
Yes.
shouldn't it have been in the 70s? Shouldn't it have been maybe $700 or $600, or would you have, since the naira was stronger than the dollar?
Yeah, but this is what I feel, that again, I say it anywhere I find myself, that I feel that we have too much appetite for foreign consumption, foreign music. Thank God for what local music has, in the last, let's say from year 2000, 1990, 2000, for the resurgence of the Nigerian music industry. That's on that aspect, entertainment, and we thank God for what the movies have become today, Netflix and all. But I would say that one of the things that have killed us is that we consume things that are foreign more. And one thing about money is that money goes in opposite of value. So when value is coming away, wealth is going in that opposite direction. So when you find Nigerians always wanting to consume foreign goods, always want to consume foreign ideologies, when we studied these things in university undergraduate days, they made us understand that Africans didn't have philosophers. I had a problem with that. You can't tell me that we don't have philosophers. It's not possible. It's you don't dictate. So I feel when you have those discussions within our purview, especially with the naira and dollar, one of the things that have killed the naira till date and is still doing so is our insatiable appetite for foreign consumption.
Yeah,
but of course, yes, you understand. But of course, we ask ourselves, what about the quality? Would I want to buy rice, local rice, and I keep eating stones? But again, you ask ourselves, okay, would I want to kill that local industry that could grow by virtue of the funds I point to it when I go to buy it? And then let me just try as much as possible to help that industry grow. So again, you ask ourselves that, how ready are we to defend our own future? Because if you cannot feed yourself, before long, you cannot prosper.
Okay, in the 50s and 60s, there was a deliberate plan by China to ensure that the local production is consumed by the Chinese people.
Yes.
Now, we see the effect of some of those things now.
Yes.
Because they're beginning to show in terms of research, in terms of construction, and other areas, agriculture, development.
Technology.
Now, can't we go back to that era to say, look, we must consume what we produce. But even at that, in doing that, the role of the government to give me electricity, to give me conducive environment, to ensure that the system works so that I can produce, so that my fellow Nigerian can buy what I produce.
All right. One of the challenges that we might have with that, okay, we speak about governments. Now, there's this thing we tend to have, talking about government from the perspective of them, us. In democracy, it's not like that. It is we. Because there's no way whoever is in government today will get there without the input of the citizenry. Now, having said that, Nigeria is not going to get anywhere if we are not conscious or deliberate about it, whether in our own personal lives. You can be deliberate about it. We remember what happened during the COVID period. Nobody saw COVID coming. Maybe the Western people, but we in Africa, we didn't see it coming. When COVID came, you had to shut your borders, everybody. Now at that point, even those that give us rice to eat, they also had to shut their borders. Now, I remember when the former president shut the borders, everybody was so pissed. I was never near there. But as at that time, I think Nigeria had only one rice mill, as at the time he became president. As at the time he was leaving, Nigeria now has 45 rice mills scattered.
Which is an encouragement.
Which is an encouragement. Now, the last end bad governance protest, somewhere in, I think Kaduna, they burnt one person and looted one person's rice mill down. A local like them.
That's a disadvantage. And they thought they were fighting the government.
They felt they were fighting
now
the
they've
government.
taken some jobs out
of it and all that. Why did I bring that in? I brought it in for us to understand our input as citizens, side by side, holding the government to account. Everybody, you come to my area and I ask you questions that, when you're a local government chairman, you have not done this, but I know what was released to you by virtue of me also following what is coming out from the federal government. But you've not done it. Nigerians have to take ownership of Nigeria. I'll give you an example. I'm a product of Obafemi Law University. And when we go for weddings, any of us that is getting married, we sing our Great Ife anthem. And we sing with so much gusto, love, passion. People are intimidated, like, hello, permit to say it in Yoruba, hello screening, and all that. If Nigerians can have that same perspective as regards the country, irrespective, in that school we tell you, when there's a protest, when there's a lecture boycott, you don't burn down the school properties because we have an intention of handing over these beautiful edifices to the next generation unborn. But you find an average Nigerian talking down Nigeria and telling that Nigeria is dead. And I ask them that, who is Nigeria? Nigeria is you and I. Nigeria existed as a geopolitical or geographic space ages ago. If in the next 1 million years I'm dead and then someone comes across my teeth, because most likely that's the last to decay, they get that teeth and they perform, whether they find it in America 1 million years ago, and they do the analysis, they will trace it back to Western Nigeria as of today, if it's geographically it has not shifted. So people don't understand that, look, there's an affiliation of you with the land. So if Nigerians don't see Nigeria as ours, like I see the next person, I don't care about you, I want to profit from your downfall, and I don't care, that's part of what kills the country. It's not going to stop.
So how do we change this negative perception? Because it is killing, let me use your word, it is killing the system. How do we change it?
For me, this is an example of what should be done. I am into leadership consulting. I train students in secondary school. I believe strongly, I'm a pastor also. So it means that I'm a youth pastor. I relate with people, from the spiritual angle. There's also the training part. There's also the research, the academics part. Now, for me, I believe strongly in mindsets. Mindset is simply the perspective through which you view life. You give me a cup of water here, it's in the midway. Some people's mindset sees it half full. Some other people's mindset sees it half empty. Now, it's that mindset that is going to make you do every other thing that you will do. I am an incurable optimist about Nigeria. And I tell anybody that cares to listen, if you are a student of history, you would understand that, look, some of the brightest minds that have ever existed globally, I'm not talking about the black race, I'm talking about globally, are Nigerians. People that come from this geographical space that you now call Nigeria. So it goes on to show that if some people can't see far, those that can see far, the onus lies on them to make those that can't see too far to begin to see, begin to open their eyes. Growing up, they used to tell me that when we speak Yoruba, maybe in some places, they say that it's vernacular. And then I got into university, I read books, I relate to people, I'm like, how dare you call my mother tongue vernacular? That's part of my identity. That's who I am. My name is Yomi. And when time I break it down, I give you the definition of it. I'm so proud of that name. I'm proud of my identity. I'm proud of who I am. So many times, it's effortlessly easy for someone like me to defend Nigeria. Is it because I'm a millionaire? Hell no, I'm not. But I'll just tell you that, look, there are assignments for every generation. if a generation fails at that duty, the next generation suffers for it because it's like a relay. So there's a generation that came in and they made sure that there was free education. Now some generation came in after and saw that, oh, is it realistic for us to keep subsidizing the education because the quality has dropped? So what do we do to ensure that the next generation coming have access to quality education? Also, is it affordable? So if it's not affordable, okay, we'll do it this way. You can access a loan just for you to make sure that your tomorrow is secured. And then by the time your tomorrow is secured, you can go out there and then you make more money and bring back, contribute to that funds that you made, so that the generation coming can be a partaker of something better than what you made. So I feel that the assignment is massive for a lot of us. Journalists, there's what you call agenda setting in mass communication. Now, agenda setting, you like, oh, this is how you say it. I once came across a CNN advert when I was an undergraduate in the mid-20s, 20s, and then CNN was like, we are who you see, what you are, what we say. So they shape your perspective about the world. I never imagined that there's pothole abroad. I never imagined that there was what we call child marriage. Until I began to read some things, and I'm like, oh, you demonize, you make us feel that we are barbaric here. But some of this barbarism and barbaric acts are still being found in your own enclave. So for me, it is us accepting who we are and then being deliberate. Is it in the culture? Is it in the identity? Is it in the language? And every other thing. Nigeria is a country that before long, we have produced Nobel laureate, we have produced people that have gone out there to do technology on
we're
all
still
fronts,
producing.
and we are still producing. I don't feel bad when people say, oh, everybody's jackpot, I just smile. You don't see it. Once upon a time, everybody jackpot to Egypt. Once upon a time, everybody jackpot to one part of the world. The only difference is that when you do, don't lose who you are. The Chinese that you quoted in the 1950s, 1960s, they were deliberate to know. Indira Gandhi of India. She said that we would rather go naked if you don't wear the Indian textile. Today, you find an Indian person walks into this place. When she's dressed, she's dressed like an Indian with her fabric.
Let me quickly take you to education before as we round up.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned education, and I also need to let you know this. Very recently, there's this debate and there's this law now by the federal government through specifically the Ministry of Education, Federal Ministry of Education, that if you are not 18 years, you cannot take WAEC, you cannot, is that not limiting
all right.
Nigerians who are young brains? Because abroad you find at 25, 26, they're doctors and they're doing good over there.
All right, quickly, let's establish the fact that this is a law. Before now, it has been, that's been a law. And the idea, they copied it from abroad, I know for a fact that if you're, I think either US or UK, your child must be 4 years. I think it's America. Your child has to be 4 years before he starts school. But there are some things that they've already made in place for those kids. So it means that there's no vacuum.
No vacuum.
There's no vacuum. But that's where I now come to Nigeria, that look, you don't copy everything verbatim and you just dump it. No, Nigeria should not be a dumping ground for copied either used cars, whether ideas. No. Nigeria should never be. For me, this law is not good enough. By now, we should begin to have think tanks. What was the smallest atom and all of this some years ago? Today is not the same. Things are changing. So it means that you also have to be dynamic. That law, if you are saying at the age of 18, before somebody gets into school, spend 4 years for a 4-year course. That is 18 years plus 4. That's at the age of 22. Then 22, you go to serve 1 year, 23. You cannot be a PhD holder at 24, 25. So you are limiting a country that boasts of so many youths, viral youths. The strength of Nigeria is in her youths.
Well, I think we have to leave it there. The strength of Nigeria is in our youth. We're just hoping that policy somersault will not come in place to destabilize all the things that we feel will make people progress in life. I want to thank you so much, Yomi, for
Thank you
being
very
part of
much.
Talk Point. It's been Talk Point, and we've been discussing governance in Nigeria, specifically to policies. My name is Omololu Rosan. We'll see you some other time.